This is Spunky
and Snarky,
and we say, welcome to the show.
Hello, welcome back for another show. Can we believe it's already Thanksgiving? This year has just been crazy. But things are looking up, so we're here to celebrate Thanksgiving with a very special episode of Bewitched, because what says thankfulness more than witches, right? So get your mom's stovetop so you can go to Billy's at 9 and also get stovetop. and sit back, because it's time to Plymouth Rock.
Today we're looking back at an episode of Bewitched called Samantha's Thanksgiving to Remember. It's from season 4, episode 12. Bewitched is about a witch, Samantha, who marries a mortal man, Darren. She tries to balance between being a housewife without using her powers and her family who disapprove of her mixed marriage and often interfere in the couple's lives. Bewitched ran for 8 seasons on ABC from 1964 to 1972.
So this episode opens up and Samantha, the main character, is in the kitchen preparing Thanksgiving dinner. She is putting the turkey in the oven when all of a sudden there's a huge crash. And she's like, what the fuck? So she runs in the living room and sees her Aunt Clara covered in soot and in her pajamas. Apparently she pulled a Santa and came down the chimney. So Aunt Clara is a witch, but she kind of like bumbles things up.
She's old, so her powers aren't what they used to be.
She's a little senile and bubbly, like, oh, I don't know how I got here, but I guess I'm gonna stay for Thanksgiving dinner. So Samantha calls Darren to tell him that Aunt Claire is here, and he's like, great, because basically he hates Samantha's witch family because they're always getting into shenanigans, and he just wants to, like, live a normal life, but he picked the wrong partner for that. So they're gonna have dinner, and Aunt Clara starts to tell Samantha and Darren's child Tabitha about the first Thanksgiving and how wonderful it was. And they were all like, you were at the first Thanksgiving? And she's like, yeah, it was great. I met all these people. Oh, I wish I could go to Plymouth and meet all my old friends. And he's like, oh, we'll book you a flight. You can go right now. And she's like, I'll just go with my powers. So she does a little magic spell. Turkey pulled down. Send me back to Plymouth Town. Of course, it doesn't work. They're like, we'll get you a plane. It's going to be okay. And she's like, no, let me try it again. Meanwhile, their, like, nosy neighbor, Gladys Kravitz, knocks on the door and sneaks in. And Aunt Clara is, like, reciting her spell. Wings felt in, turkey pulled down, take us back to Plymouth Town. And then, poof, they appear in Plymouth.
Except Aunt Clara ends up bringing the whole family and Gladys Kravitz along with her. Darren is not happy about the situation, and he says that they'll take a plane home. As he walks outside, he realizes that they're not in 20th century Plymouth, they're in 17th century Plymouth.
As some white men dressed as Native Americans walk by.
This is true. Gladys Kravitz passes out, because she's just, like, overwhelmed with the whole situation. Samantha finds it kind of exciting, but Darren reminds her that they burned witches then. And he wants Samantha to get them out of there ASAP. But she explains that Aunt Clara zapped them there and she's the only one who can zap them back. Samantha waves her arms and gives them all some pilgrim clothes so they can fit in.
Darren's long hair. It's so
It
awful.
is. It looks very 60s too, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, he looks like he's green and he's a tree. It's like totally like Prince Valium, but like from Spaceballs.
Yes.
But like brown. Like it's like that straight like page boy like cut.
Yeah. There's a knock at the door and we meet John Alden, who invites them to attend their Thanksgiving feast after Samantha explains that they had just arrived from out of town. Darren has a hard time remembering to use the correct speech of the time, like the Shakespearean thy and whatever. Yeah. So the family goes to sit at the table, but the pilgrim at the head of the table, Phineas, says that the women can't sit with them and should be attending to the cooking. Darren, again forgetting what time period he's in, tells him not to speak to his wife in that tone of voice. And then he corrects himself, "Speaketh not to my wife justly." Samantha tells Darren she'll be okay and heads off to where they're doing the cooking. Darren sits at the table and chats with the other men.
Also, I find it kind of hilarious that there ain't no Native Americans at this feast that's supposed to be Thanksgiving. It's all pilgrims.
It's weird because you see them in the beginning.
Just walking by. I don't know. They didn't go for historical accuracy here. But it's a witch show, so what do you expect? Anyway, so Samantha and Aunt Clara are cooking, and Samantha asks Aunt Clara if she remembers any of the spells. She's like, double, toil and trouble.
Samantha's like, this is no time for Shakespeare.
But it felt appropriate because she had like a cauldron brewing. Back at the table, the pilgrims are talking about how they love to burn witches, and Darren gets a little nervous because of Samantha. Darren visits Samantha and Gladys, and Samantha asks him to start a fire, and Darren does it, but he lights a match. And Phineas sees this and shouts that he's a witch.
Gladys says, "Who, her?" and points to Samantha, but then he says, "No, him."
Yeah.
And accuses Darren.
Yeah, next thing you know, Darren's on trial, and they're going to try to burn him at the stake if they convict him of being a witch. The trial begins, and Phineas brings about all this proof. He's like, first, he's talked to me in the speech and said, "Hi there, how you doing?" and bewitched him to trip. And then he was talking about how they shouldn't burn the witches, and then he saw him light the match. Darren is like, "It's just chemicals on wood, like, I can do it right now." And so he does it, and they're all like, "Oh, what is this witchcraft?" Phineas is like, "Well, why shouldn't I be able to do it then?" And Darren's like, "You already lit it. It's not going to light again." And so they're convinced that he's a witch. And he wants to defend himself, but he doesn't know what to do. If I don't say I'm guilty of being a witch, I'm going to be burned at the stake. And if I do, I'm going to be burned at the stake.
He's in a lose-lose situation. Samantha stands up to defend Darren. The judges allow it, and Samantha gives an impassioned speech. She says, "If you're clumsy, it's not your fault. Cry witch. If you're forgetful, don't blame yourself. Cry witch. Whatever your failings, it's not your fault. You can place the blame on someone else. How do you tell who is a witch? If they speak different from you, a sign of witchery. Does he show different mannerisms? Witchery, of course. What if he looked different? Or she whose name had a different sound? If you examine your neighbors closely, you will find many differences, so that no one is safe from the charge of witchery." She asks, "Is that what you seek in this new world?" She thinks not. The hope of this world lies in the acceptance of all differences and the recognition of our common humanity. The courtroom claps and Aunt Clara says, "Hear, hear." Phineas then says, "But what of the stick?" Samantha tells him to strike it, and she uses her magic to relight the match. Miles Standish, the judge, says that since he lit the match, he must confess to being a witch or withdraw the charges against Darren. Aunt Clara recalls the incantation just as Phineas withdraws the charges, and Darren is declared innocent. "Wing of fire, eye of flame, take us back to whence we came." And with a purple plume of smoke, they are all zapped back to the 20th century. Mrs. Kravitz screams and runs home, sure that she finally has the proof she needs to tell her husband Abner that Samantha is a witch. But Samantha quickly puts everyone back in their modern-day clothes, and she is confused again. So the family finally sits down to their Thanksgiving dinner. Darren tells Samantha that everything's delicious, and Aunt Clara mentions Plymouth again, and Darren asks her to change the subject because he doesn't want to talk about it. Aunt Clara then says that Christmas is coming soon and suggests a trip to take Tabitha to meet the real Santa Claus. She says that the North Pole isn't that far away. Darren looks perturbed, and that's the end of the episode.
When does Darren not look perturbed?
Yeah, he's got a resting bitch face.
He does.
So thoughts on the episode?
It was interesting. Not my favorite episode. I kind of find it funny that it was going to be about Thanksgiving, but then just jumbled a bunch of history stuff about the witches, and then there was no, like, Native American.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
So it wasn't really about Thanksgiving or being thankful or anything like that.
But it did have that speech, which was very prevalent for the time, because this episode's from 1967, and that was like right at the height of the civil rights movement. And I think Elizabeth Montgomery, who played Samantha, was very active in that movement. So she probably like had them nudge it
like,
in.
Sneak that in.
Yeah.
We won't like blatantly say it's about racism,
but it is. That speech really does hit home. And it's kind of funny, too, because the one judge guy, he's the narrator on Welcome to Pooh Corner. Did you notice that?
No.
The guy who, in the Disney show, Welcome to Pooh Corner, he would always read the stories.
Oh.
I just thought that was kind of funny. I always loved Bewitched. I talked about my, like, little witch obsession and the worst witch episode.
She wanted to be Tabitha. That's so funny.
I did. When I was a kid, I used to pretend to be Tabitha. Anyways, ready to move on to the brain basement?
Let's do it. So we're entering the brain basement. Of course, we got to talk about our Thanksgiving favorite things. For me, it's all about the stuffing.
She loves her stuffing.
Stuffing is the best. I have a lot of good memories of Thanksgiving. Like, we used to have our Italian side of the family over for Thanksgiving, and it'd be a big production because we'd have to clean the whole house and everything. But it was nice.
I loved, like, that Wednesday before Thanksgiving when we were having it at our house, and then we'd, like, set up after school and play, like, Turkey Trot. Spoiler for our music spotlight. But we played, like, those kind of records as we were, like, setting the table and getting everything ready.
And, like, doing all the little things. Yeah, I love, like, the smell when you're cooking the turkey that just, like, permeates the whole house. Like, you'll be off doing your own thing, and then suddenly you'll just smell the turkey, and it'll be, like, super good.
Yeah. And I loved when it was at my grandma's house or my great-grandma's house on the Italian side because our Nana threw it down. She would make, like, a 3-course meal.
Every holiday there would be pasta. It didn't matter what holiday it was.
And that was my favorite part. I could care less about the turkey. The first course, you had your, like, cold meats and your focaccia.
Oh, they'd have, like, the copa... what's it called?
Yeah, I think it's just called copa.
The copa
is that the
meat?
spotted one?
Yeah, it's like the deli meat with the white spots. That shit's good.
Yeah. And then the second course was the pasta, which is usually like tortellini. And oh my god, my grandma's meat sauce was like the best.
It was. Let's go back to the focaccia for a second.
Oh yeah, sorry, I skipped over that. Yeah, focaccia was hella good too. She didn't make that, she bought it, but it was like from like the best bakery in
But yeah,
San
if you know San Francisco, you know LaGuardia Bakery is like the shit for focaccia. They only make focaccia, and like it's just amazing.
Yeah. So then my grandma would make the tortellini, and that was like my favorite. And then the third course would be the turkey and all the fixins.
Oh, mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
It's the greatest.
Spoiler.
But yeah, good times. And then when we were kids, we'd go out for Black Friday too. We wouldn't actually buy anything. We'd just go and get free shit they handed out.
Well, I would sometimes. But yeah, Black Friday in the 90s and 80s was like the best. It sucks now. But back then, it was kind of fun because it wasn't open super early. Like, it was open at like 5 a.m.,
Yeah,
6 a.m.
6 a.m. You'd go, you get a free tote bag or a free ornament at Mervyn's or something.
Or Target, yeah.
And then that was it. And it's just fun to be out with people. But like
That early,
nowadays, it's like people be mauling each other for like shit at Walmart. It's like too damn much.
Yeah, we don't have a Walmart around us, so we don't have to deal with that. I remember when Best Buy first opened in our area, we went that first year, and it was like you couldn't even move in that store. There were so many people. Like, you were like shoulder to shoulder with everybody.
I didn't like when they started infringing Black Friday onto Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, I hate that.
It's like Thanksgiving is supposed to be like a holiday where you're supposed to be grateful for what you have and people and be with your family. And people are like skipping out on their family to go buy more shit. Like, it's like the irony is just palpable.
I remember going to Best Buy one time with our dad, like the Wednesday before, and people were like in their little tents camping outside. It was crazy.
It's ridiculous. So, on that note, 2020, what are you thankful for?
I'm thankful that we didn't get the COVID.
Yeah. Me too.
I mean, this year's been
the shit.
It's been
and
shitty,
not in the good way.
But there's been some good things, like we started this podcast, and that's kept me busy and my mental health good because I'm not thinking about depressing things.
Yeah.
So that's been a positive. I'm thankful for my family and friends. I don't get to see my friends that much, but it is what it is. And yeah, this year we're definitely not seeing our family, so...
Yeah. I'm thankful I still have my shitty job. And yeah, I'm thankful no one has COVID. And I'm thankful they're getting closer to a vaccine. Hopefully it will be out soon.
Yeah, I think there's 2 that are in testing right now that are like 90 and 95% effective, so that's good news.
And I'm thankful change is coming, and I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of shit this year. We had to learn how to wear masks in public.
I still hate wearing masks, but I do it because I'm not an asshole. And I'm an immune compromised, so I have to anyways.
My Olympic trip to Japan was canceled, and I'm like just like getting the refund money now. Like lots of crazy shit, but it's really kind of put some things in perspective as well. And I'm glad we've only got so many more weeks of 2020 and we can move the fuck on.
True.
Alright, well, speaking of moving on, why don't we take a dip into the music spotlight?
Alright, and welcome to the music spotlight, where today's theme is Thanksgiving dinner songs. First up on the list is Dee Dee Sharp with Mashed Potato.
It's the greatest mashed potato, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, this is one of the songs we used to listen to while setting the table.
And mashed potatoes are the greatest. They have to have a good, like, a milk to mashed potato ratio to get them nice and fluffy. So moving on to number 2, we also have another Dee Dee Sharp song because you can't have mashed potatoes without some gravy.
I'm on mashed potatoes.
Give me gravy. I actually don't like gravy. I'm weird. I don't know why. I just never really ate gravy, and I still don't eat gravy, and it's bad for you anyway, so I just stay away.
It's just like flour and
Fat.
the juices or whatever.
Yeah.
I know, I don't eat it either. Number 3 is one of my favorites. When we would have Thanksgiving at our house, because my mom don't know how to make pasta, we would have lasagna.
La 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 lasagna.
By Weird Al, by the way. It's a parody of La Bamba.
Moving on to number 4, we have Little Eva and It's Time to Turkey Trot.
Kabadilly, kabadilly. Now, this is another one we used to listen to when we were setting the table, because my mom had all these 45s, if we'd always put them on.
Yeah.
Back in the day. Do kids even know what 45s are?
I don't know.
Well, vinyl's like big again, but I don't think they sell like 45 singles anymore.
Actually, I have a BTS single that's a 45.
Oh, really?
They put them out. The Dynamite they put out as a cassette and a 45 you could buy. But now they're all like digital quality and it's not the same.
Yeah, I like the pops and
but the little like imperfections that make it like nostalgic.
The old vinyl has warmth to the sound.
I can see that, yeah.
That's what they say. Yeah, I collect old vinyl as well. Yeah.
So back to number 5, we have Jay and the Techniques. Apple peaches pumpkin pie for dessert.
Yeah, I love pumpkin pie. That's probably my favorite. As much as you love your stuffing, I love my pumpkin pie because I only get it like twice a year.
I'm not a pie person, like, unless it's, like, chocolate silk. I don't know why. I don't know if I've ever really, like, had a good pumpkin pie either. But, like, the fruit pies, like, I don't like all the super syrupy, like, stewed fruits. Yeah.
Well, pumpkin pie doesn't have that. It's just, like, a solid mushiness. But
I
it's
mean,
good.
Apple or peach pie.
Yeah. An honorable mention, since we have to be thankful at our Thanksgiving dinner, so we picked Andrew Gold's Thank You for Being a Friend.
Traveling down the road and back again.
Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant.
Now I want some cheesecake, thank you.
Yeah, that would be their other Thanksgiving dessert. Yeah, this was obviously later re-recorded for the theme for the Golden Girls, but this was the original, and we figured it did Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Because we're thankful for you being listeners and being our friends.
And if threw a party, invited everyone you knew. You would see the biggest gift would be for me, and the card attached would say, thank you for being a friend.
We're totally singing the Golden Girls version, but that's okay.
Because who doesn't love the Golden Girls?
Yeah, that's a show we haven't touched on yet, but we will, I'm sure, in the future.
But anyway, we digress.
Like Sophia. Alright, if you want to listen to these songs in full, you can check them out on our website.
Thank you for joining us. We hope you have a great Thanksgiving and
get to eat a lot and
gobble.
Hope that tryptophan kicks in so you have a good night's sleep.
Yep. That's what I'm hoping for.
Get in that food coma.
Thanks for listening, and thank you for letting me be myself again. And bring the funk.
Yeah. If you'd like to drop us a line, you can email us at spunkyandsnarkyshow@gmail.com. You can check out our website, which is spunkyandsnarkyshow.wordpress.com. You can leave us a voicemail on our Anchor page, which is anchor.fm/spunkyandsnarkyshow. And then we have the Facebook, Twitters, and Instagram if you want to reach out to us on there or like us or whatever. We hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. We're thankful for you for listening, and have a good one.
Peace.
Bye.